Steadfastness and the first sense are inseparable. Steadfastness is remaining with what is within, and the only instrument through which what is within is perceived is the first sense. So steadfastness at its core is steadfastness in keeping the first sense active. Active, perceiving, open, maintaining the instrument of inner perception. This is the 7-minute daily focus, day 189 of 365. To focus on the world within from the world without. Today's focus, the law of steadfastness, the first sense and steadfastness. Pause for a moment. Steadfastness and the first sense are inseparable. Steadfastness is remaining with what is within, and the only instrument through which what is within is perceived is the first sense. So steadfastness at its core is steadfastness in keeping the first sense active. Active, perceiving, open, maintaining the instrument of inner perception. In the face of the five senses, persistent reporting on what is without. Pause. When the first sense is active, the thinker is perceiving primary reality, the seed, what is held within, what is developing. The invisible period is not invisible through the first sense. Through the first sense, the seed is perceived as real, already complete, already developing, already carrying its full expression. When the five senses dominate, the thinker is perceiving secondary reality, what has already appeared, the current surface, the conditions, and from that perception, the invisible period looks like absence, like nothing happening, like the seed is not developing. The difference between a thinker who is steadfast and a thinker who is not is often simply this: which instrument is most active? The first sense, perceiving within, or the five senses, perceiving without? Thought is within, effect is without. Thinking stands between. Pause for a moment. Steadfastness through the first sense is not blind to the physical world. The five senses will continue to perceive. Conditions will continue to appear. The surface will continue to be the surface. The first sense does not deny any of this. But the thinker with the first sense active knows something more. Knows that what the five senses report is always secondary, always the result of what has been held within and developed, always behind the metaphysical reality that is already proceeding, and from that knowing, conditions lose their authority over steadfastness. They are seen, they are acknowledged, and thinking returns to the seed, because the first sense is perceiving something the five senses cannot, the actuality of the seed. The reality of the development, the certainty of what is coming. And that perception, maintained through the first sense, is the inner anchor of steadfastness. Pause. The first sense is the faculty that makes steadfastness meaningful. Without the first sense, that inner perceptual capacity, there is no inner object to be steadfast about. Steadfastness without the first sense would be steadfastness about conditions, about what is without. And that is not steadfastness. That is fixation, rigidity, the holding of a surface position regardless of evidence. That is not what this law teaches. The first sense provides the inner object, the perception of the seed, the awareness of what is within, the recognition of the real. The thinker who develops their first sense perception has something to be steadfast about, something inner, something real, something that is developing, even when not yet visible. And their steadfastness is a holding of that inner perception against the competing report of the five senses. The five senses say, nothing is here yet. The first sense says, the seed is here, developing. Steadfastness says, I hold with the first sense. And in holding with the first sense, in choosing the inner perception over the outer report, The thinker keeps thinking upon the seed. The nourishment continues, the development proceeds, and what is held steadfastly through the first sense within must express without. Now, the affirmation for day 189. Pause for a moment. I remain, and the surface does not move me from the seed. What is not yet seen does not discourage me. What is already seen does not distract me. I am steadfast, not because conditions are favorable, because what is within is real, and what is real unfolds without haste, without doubt, without interruption, because I remain steadfast, focused, and because I remain, the unfolding completes. And what completes must physically express. Remember, by design, by focus.